Hey everyone, Dr. Jess here. I am here today to talk with you a little bit about some of the common accommodations you might see when and if you have a student who's blind in your class or has low vision in your class. And things that you could predict, ways that we might be communicating with you, and ways that we can really work with you to set everyone up for success, right? So, you know, some of the accommodations that a student who's blind or has low vision might get are unique to the student and their unique need. However, some appear more commonly than others, right? One might be that the student has any written material read to them, or that a student might have that written material fed out to them on what is called a brailler, which is an electronic device that provides the braille version of any written text. Okay, so that there's some great solutions available related to accessibility and assistive technology for our blind students to be able to receive the same quality education as anyone else here at CSUSB. But we all know that reading a book isn't the only thing that we do in school, right? So what else might come up and what can we do to think around it and be our best in every possible way that we can for every possible unique student that may walk in the door into our classroom. So for our blind students, one of the things that you might see is when they first come here, they get a visual orientation, right? So they're actually taken around campus and visually and spatially oriented to the campus. Um, so that way they have some degree of familiarity. Now, does a classroom change almost on the daily sometimes? Do we have professors before us in class that move all the desks and chairs around and all these things? Yes, right. So sometimes what happens is our blind students might have a personal care attendant that walks with them, or they might have a service dog, like a seeing eye dog that walks with them, or they might be walked into class by one of our mobility student assistants, right? So they might take a cart ride to the building and then they might be walked in by one of our SSD student assistants, right? And so then they might be walked into class and then they might go to their desk from there. Chances are, whether or not it's an accommodation, they might even, have a preference for the same desk every time. That might be a conversation that you may have with the student. Or it might be an accommodation that's also written in, right? A seating up front, seating in the back. Like these are accommodations that are common as well. So these are a couple things that you can expect to see, right? Sometimes there's multiple doors to the classroom. It can be really helpful for a student to enter through the same door each time. So that way they're oriented the same way to the class. Um, if they're arriving to class with a seeing eye dog and with a service animal, obviously, it's fine to talk with the student about their wonderful dog, but you don't want to talk to the dog or approach the dog or touch the dog, right? But we know that folks with their service animals, they share a bond together. So this is a completely appropriate and lots of great windows of opportunity to really be inclusive in the classroom as these various things come up. So other things that could happen, right? We might show videos in class. And this one sometimes takes a little bit of creativity. The one that sometimes takes even more creativity is we might have students make videos and then show videos in class, right? So if either or both of these apply to you, we're going to get you to become besties with our accessibility office, right? It changes name from time to time, but these folks are going to be captioning, these folks are going to be transcribing, these folks are going to be providing to a student what they need and communicating with the student, communicating with SSD about what they need in order to absorb that material in a timely manner as well, right? So we want to work with you in advance. We want to work with you ahead. we're happy to work with you to think around various different activities, right? Sometimes this comes up too with like active learning activities. Okay, everyone go to the side of the room and things like that. It can be really helpful to prepare the SSD office and the student, either or both. We can support students differently on those days so that that way they feel comfortable and welcome and included as well. So I've just named a couple of different scenarios that could come up for our blind and low vision students. However, there's probably a million and one more that I haven't even touched upon, right? I mean, we might be teaching lab classes or things with hazardous materials or like so many different, there might be rotations or rounds or field work or various places that we take our classes to or, you know, field trips that we go on. Anything related to the students' access, both curricular and co-curricular, we're here to support it at SSD. And so we want to work with you early and often and regularly to get creative with you in making sure that that access is met. But please remember, you're not alone in a vacuum in a bubble. You don't have to, you know, do this alone. That's why there's this amazing team at SSD, a bunch of which are my former students. And I'm so proud that now they're in the work of helping and accommodating individuals with disabilities. So I really believe in the team. They're absolutely amazing in the great lengths that they go for students every single day. So please give us the opportunity to rise to the occasion for you. And please just, you know, use that amazing faculty skill that we all have to kind of think 15 weeks in the future all the time, right? As you think 15 weeks in the future about this course, what comes up for you that might be different and worthy of talking about in advance? And we're always here for those conversations. You can reach me at jessica.narian@csusb.edu. You can always reach our SSD office at ssd@csusb.edu. And I thank you so much for all you do to include all of your students with and without disabilities all the time. Thanks so much. Have a great day.